In the 1950s, the U.S. government vehemently denied the existence of flying saucers. They told the public that UFOs were swamp gas. They told them they were weather balloons. They told them they were mass hallucinations. But behind closed doors, the Air Force wasn't just investigating flying saucers. They were building one. This isn't a prop from a sci-fi movie. This is the VZ-9 Avicar. It was a top-secret, multi-million-dollar military project designed to replace the Jeep, the tank, and the fighter jet with a supersonic disc. There was just one problem. It couldn't fly faster than a bicycle, and it couldn't fly higher than a toddler's head. Welcome to ShadowWorks. Last time, we looked at a missile too evil to use. Today, we look at a machine that was just too weird to fly. In the early days of the Cold War, everybody was obsessed with vertical takeoff and landing, VTOL. Runways were vulnerable. If the Soviets nuked the airfields, how would you launch your jets? You needed a plane that could take off from a parking lot. Enter Avro Canada. They were a brilliant aerospace company that had already built the CF-105 Arrow. They came to the Pentagon with a radical idea, the Coanda effect. If you blow jet exhaust over a curved surface, the air sticks to the curve and creates lift. Avro engineers realized that if you built a circular wing, a saucer, and blew air out of the edges, you could create a cushion of air to hover, and then direct that thrust backward to fly at supersonic speeds. The Air Force loved it. They bought the pitch. They wanted a saucer that could fly at Mach 4 and climb to 100,000 feet. They called it Project Silverbug. The design was actually genius ... on paper. The Avicar had 3 jet engines buried in the fuselage. These engines drove a massive turborotor, basically a giant fan, in the center of the disc. The thrust was ducted out to the rim of the saucer. By controlling little shutters on the edge, the pilot could tilt the saucer to move forward, backward, or sideways. It had no wings to drag it down. It had no tail to break off. It was the perfect aerodynamic shape. The Army wanted it to be a flying jeep that could hop over mud and rivers. The Air Force wanted it to be a stealth fighter. Everyone was ready for the future. Then, they turned it on. The first problem was the heat. Sitting in the cockpit of the Avicar was like sitting inside a convection oven. The jet engines were inches away from the pilot's back. The noise was deafening, screeching like a banshee. But the real problem was the physics. When the Avicar hovered close to the ground, it was fine. It sat on a nice, stable cushion of air. But the moment the pilot tried to fly higher than 3 feet out of that ground cushion, the saucer became violently unstable. It would wobble, dip, and try to flip over. It's called hubcapping. Just like a hubcap spinning on the ground eventually loses energy and wobbles before it falls. The Avicar couldn't stay flat. The supersonic fighter jet of the future had a top speed of 35 miles per hour, and it had a maximum ceiling of 3 feet. Basically, the U.S. Air Force had spent millions of dollars to invent the world's loudest, most expensive hovercraft. By 1961, the dream was over. The engineers tried everything. They added a tail. They added huge control surfaces, but nothing worked. The disc shape was just inherently unstable at low speeds, without the computer fly-by-wire systems we have today. The project was canceled. The Avicar didn't fight the Soviets. It didn't replace the Jeep. It just proved that sometimes looking cool isn't the same as being aerodynamic. Today, you can see the Avicar in a museum. It sits there, gleaming and futuristic, a reminder of a time when we really believed the future was going to be circular. It was a failure, but it was a necessary one. It taught us that vertical flight is hard, and that maybe, just maybe, aliens have figured out some physics that we haven't. The Avicar was too weird to live. But some planes are too small to fight. Join us next time as we investigate the XF-85 Goblin, the tiniest fighter plane ever built. It was designed to live inside the bomb bay of a larger plane and be dropped like a parasite. The only problem? Trying to dock a tiny plane with a big plane in mid-air is a terrifying way to die. Click here to subscribe so you don't miss the Parasite Fighter.